My testimony, my story of faith is entitled Grief and Menopause. Well, when I had my bicycle accident, it seemed like that was a point of, after that, many challenging things happened. I had my breaking of my wrist, and then soon after that, my mother had her second hip break. She didn't fall, it just broke. And then my husband was also sick. I thank the Lord that the Lord helped my mother to not die while she was having her second surgery. But my husband was also suffering illness at the time, and so it was just a lot of stress and wearing on the heart. And then I remember, as I explained before, went to church, my home church in McKinney, Texas, Hillcrest Christian Church. And after church, I got the call that my mother had died. They told me the story of how my mother passed away. She was truly loved by all the people at the retirement, the dementia unit. And one woman watched her. She kept sitting there, and all of a sudden, she turned white as she was sitting there, and she cried out. She said, "Elaine." You see, my sister Elaine had passed away when Elaine was 40. She passed away in the year 1995. And so I'm certain that my sister is in the presence of the Lord, that she's with the Lord. And so when my mother was gone, when she passed away, as she was passing, it appears that she saw Jesus, I'm sure. She saw God in His presence, but she also saw my sister Elaine. And it was just so thrilling because she got a gigantic smile like she had never had before, which she always had a huge smile, bigger than Texas, bigger than Alaska. And then she was gone. And they tried to take care of her, help her. They took her to the hospital, and it was just her time. It was impossible for them to help revive her. She was gone. So after church, I got the call, and I was just heartbroken because I had been planning to go visit her before church, and it was just tough. So I went there, and I remember going into the emergency room where they had her body covered and just hugging her and crying and crying. We went to and that was my husband and I and our two daughters. And then we went later to, she was going to be cremated. We went and saw her a few times, a couple of more times at the funeral home, and watched her and just hugged her and wept and thanked the Lord for her life, and just cried and cried and grieved and just let it out. We didn't try to act like nothing hurt us. We just let it out, and we cried and cried. And then later, it was just tough. It's just tough. Even though for several years she had suffered with dementia, she was still there, and she was still an encouragement and inspiration to me as she was. So my heart had a hole, an empty part. Oh, I knew the love of the Lord, but still I missed her. And I knew also that my sister was very ill. Later that year, one of my best friends, Marie, passed away. And I had kind of a knowing, a feeling. I was not on a cruise ship, but on a one-day trip of a short cruise in Alaska. They'd given us free entrance so we could videotape a song. The song was entitled Blessings. which talks about suffering and sorrow. And when I got on that little ship, I was very concerned about Marie. And then when I left the ship, I called her daughter, and she had just died. There was just this sense of grief and loss. And actually, my aunt died 2 weeks after my mother, and my sign language teacher died in the tornado in Joplin. So in the course of about 14 months, I had about 12 different people that I knew, some of them very close to me, and some of them pretty close, die, and it was just a loss. One of the toughest ones was also when my sister passed away. I loved her so much, and I knew she was going to heaven to be with Jesus, but it was a hard time. I missed her. I was also, at that same time, experiencing the change of life. And I'm probably still experiencing a little of it, but I was really experiencing all the different chemical, hormonal changes that the body has when you become older as a woman. And that's tough. It varies with each person, but that's really tough. So I had grief and menopause at the same time. Really, all of that combined caused me to not be my normal self. Many different things happened. A lot of fear, a lot of stress, a lot of panicking, being extremely exhausted. I still was serving the Lord, but sometimes it was all I could do for my family to help me to do different things. So it was about 3 years of just great stress, great challenge. And I will always miss my family. But I thank the Lord that my family and my friends that have went on, I know are Christians, and I will see them again. And I have that hope, and I'm excited about that hope. But even though I knew that, during the time of grief and loss, there's been a hole, and there'll always be a little bitty part of me or a big part of me that's just going to miss them, have some, oh, I wish they were here, some disappointment. Maybe you've experienced some grief too. Maybe you think, oh, a Christian should not struggle with that. Oh, they're going to heaven, so what's wrong with you? I want to tell you, don't say that. Don't believe that. Yes, if you do fine and your grief is quick and you're not struggling with it, that's fine. That's wonderful. But if you struggle with grief, if you struggle with menopause, don't criticize yourself and put yourself down. Understand that no matter what you face, no matter even if you have depression, for whatever reason, just seek to continue to pray, to continue to cry out, to continue to get together and make friendships and depend on whoever you have as friends or family who are faithful, who are good people. Reach out to them and let them help you. And for me, I took vitamins and supplements and also sometimes some hormonal cream to help me. But some people have to go into a hospital. Some people have to have medication. And I'm not suggesting you do get medication, but I'm saying it doesn't mean that you're not a Christian if you had to use medication. You just need to know that God cares, and our struggles of ups and downs, that He's with us and He loves you. So continue to seek His Word. Continue to seek Christian fellowship and support. Continue to pray and be in His presence. Rejoicing in music, whether you're watching a DVD of sign language music, or if you're listening to music, whatever. If you're hard of hearing, turn up the music. Whatever you need to do. But let yourself know that God is with you in the hard and difficult times. I thank the Lord. Sometimes when I knew I was struggling, I'd feel very critical of myself. Why are you having such a tough time? You're a Christian. You're a missionary. You've been involved in mission work for many years. Why are you struggling so? You've had many other different terrible, terrible experiences in the past. Suffering many different challenges. Why is this bothering you? And sometimes that would turn to not just being questioning myself, it would be like stabbing my own self in the back, criticizing, putting myself down, and then Satan would at times get the victory. Because if the devil can cause us to put ourselves down and focus on how terrible we are, then it's hard for us to look up to God. It's hard for us to look out and help people again. And you know, if you can't for a season do what you normally did before, that's okay. You may have to do things a little calmer for a season. And sometimes we use our talents in one area for a period of our life and then they're gone. Like someone becomes blind. Then they have to say, Lord, you're the potter. I'm the clay. So here I am. Use me however you want. Mold me. Make me whatever you want for your purposes. But sometimes we have grief, sorrow, hormonal changes that hit us, and we just have to take a break. We maybe can't do it exactly like we did before for a season, and that's all right, because that can be God, His way and time of healing for us. So I challenge you, whatever problems you have. Do you have depression? You don't need to answer me, but the question is, ask yourself, do you have depression? Are you struggling with grief? Are you struggling with something that disappointed you? Are you struggling because of whatever? It's going to be all right if you step by step trust Him. Walking with faith, that means more to me now. It means doing what I can today. One step after one step after one step after one step. Trusting that no matter what happens, no matter what people say to me, no matter what occurs, even though I don't want problems, and even though if more tragedy hit me, it would be hard and it would rip my heart out. Still we can say, no matter what happens, I'm going to trust in the mighty power and love of the Lord. That He loves me no matter what I can do, no matter what I'm feeling, no matter what I'm experiencing. He loves me. And that's the same thing for you. No matter what you're facing, He loves you. Rest in His love. And remember, Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so. Little ones to Him belong. They are weak, but He is strong. Yes, Jesus Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves you. Yes, Jesus loves me. The Bible tells me.